How's it going, everybody? Thursday, April 29th. And before I get into the top-down approach, the same routine I do every day, I want to highlight something real quick. My channel just hit 20,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you to every single person who subscribes and watches my videos. It's amazing that I've been able to document this journey, and so many people have kind of been interested in following me along the way. It's very cool, and I hope one day to hit 100,000 subscribers, so I have a lot more work to do. Now let's get into the market and what's going on with the SPY and the QQQ. So SPY just continues to trend. Nice uptrend above the 9 EMA. It is getting kind of a little thin up here, or at least the volume feels like it's getting a little lower. The range on these candles is getting pretty tight. So just kind of keeping that in mind, that sometimes when that happens, it can be a little choppy. And then especially when it kind of just continues to grind higher. But the all-time high was 419.01. We've made a new all-time high in the pre-market, so just continue to know that it's very strong. So the main level that I'm watching is, can it hold above that? If it holds above 419.01 and it continues higher, then I don't see a reason to fight that. Now going into Qs, daily chart looks pretty good. I like this better than the SPY, obviously, because there has been more of a consolidation here. So when it breaks that, this does look nice for a possible move higher. So the main level that I'm watching is 342.23. If it takes that out and it shows some strength, obviously no reason to fight the trend. Both SPY and Qs are very strong. Now to get into the watch list, obviously watching Tesla. I like to look at it every day. The daily chart on Tesla is not very clean. Had a gap up, sold off for earnings, and it's kind of right in between a lot of the moving averages. Bit of a mess, but I'm still going to watch the key technical levels that I always look at. So watching prior day's low, 691.80. Prior day's high, 708.50, pre-market high, 703.80, and then pre-market low, 698.10. And just want to see if the market chooses a direction and if any of these levels start to get taken out. But I am going to be very careful in realizing that if there is any sort of long that looks good, there is a lot of resistance to the left as well as some moving averages above, so it could be a little choppy. Also watching Amazon. Amazon has been very strong. Nice move. It reports earnings today after the close, so I'm just going to be careful about trading options. If they are super expensive, even more expensive than when I traded them a couple days ago, I most likely will just trade small share size if it does have a good setup. So the main levels that I'm watching is prior day's high, 3,489.88, and then also pre-market high, 3,510. And if it takes that out, it's not too far away from all-time highs. It would be pretty crazy if it made a new all-time high today, but I'll let the price action just tell me what it wants to do, and hopefully there's a clean setup. Also looking at CAT, so had a pretty nice gap up, really good looking daily chart, long period of consolidation, nice gap up right to the all-time high level. So that's the level that I'm obviously looking at, 237.78, and pre-market high 239. Also watching Facebook. So Facebook, it has a really big gap up. The only downside with this is when something has a very big gap up, I can be a little hesitant to want to go find a long there because especially in the current market, it hasn't really paid to chase. A lot of times these big gap ups can be tricky to trade, or the opposite happens where they tend to fade. But regardless of overthinking it, the levels that I'm going to be watching, pre-market low, 326.16, and pre-market high, 332.75. And then the last one on the list is going to be Apple. So Apple daily chart looks pretty good. The reason why is because it's had a nice period of consolidation, pretty close to the 9 EMA. It has the gap up on earnings. It's kind of clearing this prior pivot high resistance. So that's a main technical level that it's getting above, which is 135.53. And then the other levels that I like and I'm going to be watching is pre-market low, 136.60, pre-market high, 137.80. So that's the watch list. Those are the levels. And like always, especially coming close to the month end, I don't want to screw anything up. So I'm going to trade a little smaller and try to be really patient to wait for clean setups. So just watching Amazon, price action is a little crazy. IV is 76%, so it's pretty high. It's not insane, but just being aware of that. So the only way I'd take a setup on this is if it looks really clean. I've already kind of tested my luck with Amazon once and I got away with it. And I know that, when I press something a little too much, it only takes, especially on Amazon, that one bad trade or that move that goes against me really quick for those losses to be big. And being that it's the end of the month, I don't want to screw anything up. So I would like for a push towards high, and rather than get there really quick, have a bit of a pause, a nice period of consolidation, and then take out the high a day. I don't want to chase it as quick as I did the trade earlier in this week. Not very clean, a little sloppy. And also I'm looking at Facebook, which so far showing some weakness. So that's obviously not helping, tech and some of these other names. And then Apple as well, just showing a little bit of weakness. So does that continue, or do they finally find some support and then maybe turn over? And then let's see if these things can get moving towards high of day. So I'm also watching Tesla. It does have pre-market high above at 703.80, but these candles are pretty crazy right now. I mean, big wide range candles, not very clean action. I've noticed, especially in the market right now, that when the candles are very wicky and crazy, whenever I try to anticipate a move, a lot of times I can get caught. So I really like when the price action can just chill out a little bit. These candles get a little smaller, tight period of consolidation, and then that seems to be where my best trades come from. And closer to that pre-market high would be great at 703.80. So I'm flipping back between Amazon and Tesla, but I think this just comes with experience. Just watching the price action right now feels a little slower, a little lower volume. Facebook and Apple and Cat all sold off at the open. So just on a very short-term basis, letting me know that the momentum is not there yet. And whenever I see that, that's kind of a clue for me to just take a step back and wait to see if the market turns. And if it does not, and it shows some weakness, then maybe find some short trades there, but try not to overtrade and get caught in the mess. Kind of let the battle happen, and then when the side gets chosen, try to go with the flow. So I can just tell by the candles, I don't really like the price action on Amazon. It's a little too crazy. I mean, big wicks, huge wick towards the high, instant yank and pullback. And, when it comes to these options, especially the day of the earnings report, since they're going to be reporting after the close, it just feels like it's pretty dangerous. So from the price action alone, I already know that I am most likely not going to be trading Amazon today. And I think the ability to identify that price action isn't clean just comes with experience. I've been doing this for almost 5 years. And even though it's hard to be perfect, I know what clean price action looks like. So when I can notice that pretty early on, that it just, my gut kind of says, this doesn't feel right, it's not that clean, sometimes that can save me from pain. And really the reason why I think I almost have like a sixth sense of that is just because I've been doing this for a while. And also just using the eye test. Look how ugly this is. This is terrible. Big wick up, big sell-off, push right back to highs, huge wicks, right back down. That's nuts. That's price action that I don't want to be a part of. So now with Amazon out of the way, I'm watching my good old friend Tesla, and it's showing a little bit of weakness right now, clearly below VWAP, and it's also approaching green to red, so almost about to go red on the day, and also prior day's low is 691.80. So I don't want to rush to take a trade on this because it still feels a little slow, a little low volume, but just keeping that all in mind, that if there's any sort of weakness in the market, because Qs and SPY did gap up, if for some reason they start to sell off aggressively, I would look to find a short on Tesla. So it's not very common, but 25 minutes into the day and I have not taken a single trade yet. This is something I'm trying to work on getting better at. Don't feel the need to have to trade every single tick. If I don't see any very clean setups, then just don't trade. Every now and then this happens, especially as a scalper. Most of the days each month aren't going to be very exciting. Like I've talked about before, it's usually only a handful of days where things really pick up, where I can basically make my monthly P&L. The days in between that, I have to make sure that I'm not overly active, get chopped up, and give a lot back. Today feels like one of those days so far, so I'm keeping that in mind. And if I end up taking a trade, I'm going to make sure that I trade much smaller. So this downside flag pattern on Tesla did look okay. But to be honest, I just didn't really trust it, just based on some of the other things that I'm watching. It feels like it's kind of low volume chop right now. So rather than just chasing the flag that I saw, sometimes I like to just wait another minute where it doesn't feel like things have chosen a direction. Watching Apple, watching Facebook, watching Amazon, they're kind of just in a choppy mess. When I see that, and collectively as a group, things aren't that clean, every now and then, if a setup looks really good, I will say, let me give it one more minute just because of how everything else looks. And sometimes that can save me from being in a bad trade. Because obviously this did look pretty good, but clearly had no follow through, had some nasty spikes, and had I taken it, would have got caught in that, probably take a quick loss. So this is by far the slowest day this week. I'm still just sitting back and I don't see anything I like. Maybe if Tesla comes back to that low of day, knowing that prior day's low is below at 691.80, that would be an okay setup, but I would also want to see SPY and Qs be weak, so that way I can go with the flow of the market. But if that doesn't set up clean, it's most likely going to be a no trade day for me, which is really rare, but I don't want to force anything and then regret doing so after the fact. Wow, well, there you go. I was watching the low a day, but to be honest, I hesitated a little bit because I did not like the price action at all. And it was going on numerous red candles in a row. So sometimes that's just how it goes. My gut was telling me to play defense, not feel the need to have to take every single trade. And it came right to low a day. It actually did break, had a nice move. That would have been a nice trade, but I just stayed away because I didn't feel that great about it. But that would have been a nice trade. So obviously was showing some weakness, made a push back towards VWAP, failed to get above it, came back to low of day, broke low of day, and also had a technical level below prior day's low, 691.80. And then of course broke that level, started to speed up, and if I was in the trade, that's where I like to take profits. So I am interested to see if this can flag, possibly have one more leg lower, but the move has been pretty big already from the high, so just being aware of that. I'm going to try the low a day break right there. Like to see this break 689 pretty quick. All right. New low a day. Just want to see maybe this can get to 688. Okay, I'm coming out of that. So not the most exciting trade, but it did break the low a day. I wanted to give it a chance to see if it could flush 688. Kind of bounced right off of it. And then the moment it bounced, I just got out of it for a very small win. And that is most likely going to be the only trade of the day. So just to kind of remind myself, you know, we're always learning, right? There's lessons that you can learn every single day. And today was just one of those things where realizing the price action wasn't very clean. The volume felt a little lower. Some of the gap up earnings names like Facebook, Apple, and Cat got sold. So it showed that the momentum just wasn't there. And when I can kind of put all of that together and also SPY and Qs kind of slowly just selling off, kind of like a slow bleed so far, that it means that it's just not an A+ day. And I need to chill out and not push it because those are the kind of days where I can take big losses. And that's exactly what I did. So I only took one pretty boring trade on the day, almost an hour in, and I sized way down. So only took 2 contracts and got a very small win. So that's going to be it for me. Now to just go check out the portfolio. Made 93 bucks on a quick scalp short on Tesla. And that's just how it goes. I don't try to focus on a certain dollar amount each day. I try to focus on taking quality setups and then how much did I make after the fact. And if I can do that consistently and trade well, the money will follow over the period of a month. Some days are very exciting, others aren't, but the whole point to all of it is just to remain consistent. So thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.